Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about content creation and how to be you in your normal workflow and your natural work state, but better. So think about the Your Lips But Better chapsticks and lip balms. It's not quite lipstick to give you a complete new look. It's not a lip stain. It's your lip color, but better. That's how we're going to approach content creation and getting in the workflow of being a content creator. It's you, but better. It's your personality talking to the camera. It's your humor, your natural humor. It's your natural way, but better. With workflow, it's your natural way of how you take notes, of how you show up to work, of clocking in, of managing your time budget, but better. So tip number one, and this is not so much a tip as it is a reminder, content creation is a full-time job, whether you're approaching it part-time. Here's how to make it work for you. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Do not try to become the next Beyonce. Do not try to become the next Elon Musk. Be you, but better. Here's what you want to do at first. Choose 3 to 5 content creators who are doing what you want to be doing, who are approaching topics, subjects, and themes that you are also interested in, and do what they do, but make it your own. By not reinventing the wheel, what I actually mean is see what's already working for other content creators that you admire, that you already follow. It wouldn't make sense for me to look at what a fashion influencer is doing or a style influencer is doing and try to make that fit for me, because what I do is talk about Christianity. I talk about Jesus. I talk about my walk in my faith. And so I want to look at content creators who are doing that, who are talking about their faith, whether it be just a normal YouTube channel, whether it be a podcast, whether it be, Instagram posts or short form TikTok videos. I want to see what other young Christian female creatives are doing, how they're doing it, and see how they're putting it out. I'm not gonna copy exactly what they're doing. I'm just gonna see what works, how long their videos are, the setup for their videos, the general vibe, the topics that they're talking about. I'm gonna take note of that. I'm gonna actually write that down, and we'll get to writing things down later, but I'm gonna take a mental note of that, and I'm gonna see how what I do, how I like to approach my faith, the things that I naturally talk about in conversation, right? We're not reinventing the wheel and talking about things that we wouldn't talk about otherwise with our friends, with family, to ourselves even. I'm going to apply that and look at it through the filter of myself. And what do I naturally like to talk about when it comes to Jesus, when it comes to Christianity and faith? What is the general vibe of me that I can use with my set? What are their audience responding to with Christian themes and Christian topics that come up? And how could I make that and translate that to what I'm interested in, while also being aware of what audience members are interested in who are already Christian and who are already tuning into Christian content. You see what works, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, and you're making it work for you. You're applying it to yourself. Next tip, when I say think of your content creation as your lips but better, what I mean is think about what your natural workflow is. Are you someone who's woken up at the crack of dawn ready to go? Are you in the gym at 6 a.m.? Have you already had your first cup of coffee by 7, 8 a.m.? Have you already checked your schedule for the day? Are you someone who is out the door by 10 a.m. and ready to take on the workday? When you come home, do you have a routine? Think about things like that. And if you don't, what is your natural workflow? Are you someone who likes to sleep in until 10, 11 a.m. and then get your day started by having that cup of coffee, seeing what you have to do for the day, letting the day take you? Are you someone who plans out your day, or are you someone who lets the day take you while still knowing in the back of your mind what you have to be doing? I'm not saying it's an either or, but know what your flow, your workflow is already. Know what you're already doing and be really real about that. I'm not telling you to go from someone who's more laid back to a type A personality overnight. I'm not telling a type A personality to completely chill out, right? We're doing a you, but better. So if you're someone who does like to sleep in until maybe 10 or 11 and you start your day a little bit later, that's fine. but how can you structure your day to keep your days moving forward? And this takes us to our next tip. Make your workflow and system a well-oiled machine. You're going to observe what your natural habits have been. Are you a more type A, routine and schedule-oriented person, or do you let the day take you where it takes you while knowing you have plans in the back of your head, right? And I'm not saying there's only two groups of people. Those are two extremes. Just observe where you fall from one spectrum to the other or somewhere in between. For my podcast, I have a workflow system. For my Facebook group, I have a workflow system. For after I upload my podcast, I have a workflow system. And they're usually numbered from a task list of 1 to 10 that is a wash, rinse, and repeat, so I can always refer back to it. I have the intro, the topic of the day, the meditative scripture of the day, the story and scripture relevance, what I learned, how you can learn from me, and the meditative passage. I close out in prayer. I have a call to action, like, share, and subscribe, and I end with a goodbye statement, right? That is my workflow for my podcast, and that is also my script outline. What this helps me with when seeing it all written down, having a dedicated space for it, is getting myself into a flow state when I don't feel like getting into a flow state. I'm a type A personality, but I'm also very laid back. I utilize my type A personality by having things written out very clearly for me to refer to when I feel lazy, when I don't feel like doing it, when I feel forgetful, and when I'm unsure of what days I'm doing what, why I'm doing certain things on certain days, my days off. I have to see my days off so I can know to take a break. We'll get to that later. And it keeps me in that workflow state. I know it sounds like so much, but it's really not. The hardest part is probably going to be picking a few days out of the week that you can dedicate time to your content strategy and your content creation and making a manageable workflow system work for you, which brings us to our next point. Consistency is key and king. You want to have a workflow system that you have written down, that you follow, and that you're following for at least 6 months consecutively. Take rest when you need it, and we'll get to that point of knowing when to rest. But you want to be consistent regardless of how much engagement or follow back or subscriptions that you're getting, because people are expecting it. They're getting used to you putting out content. And if people see that you're consistent, they're going to want to tune in. They're going to want to engage. They're going to want to hit subscribe because they're already used to seeing you. This is the thing we all have to remember as creators. No one cares. No one cares how much work I've put in to my workflow system. No one really cares that I'm talking about this with you right now. No one cares that I'm making this video. But if at least one person cares, chances are they have a group of friends that also are interested in the things that they're interested in, and we'll get to that point in a little bit. If you're already type A, enhance being type A. Use your type A skills to your ability for content creation. If you're a lackadaisical, you can make your schedule around being lackadaisical. Just enhance your laid backness. Have a dedicated content strategy section in your planner, but also have a daily task list that you can check off so that you can see that your day is moving forward. If you keep things all jumbled in your mind, like, yeah, I did that, because those are the things I had to do on this day, you're not gonna really feel that sense of achievement. You want to be able to actually physically check things off, because I really believe that that does something to your mind of giving you that sense of accomplishment and giving you that positive feedback of knowing that your days have structure, you have a routine, and it really builds that confidence and makes you want to keep going. Number 7, transparency and authenticity. Now that we've gotten the tedious stuff out of the way of making a manageable schedule, picking dedicated days out of the week to focus on content creation, checking things off on your daily task list as you go, now we can think about you on camera. This is, again, still you, but better. I actually have studied classical theater, and we also had to take on-camera classes. So I may be a little bit more naturally comfortable on camera than the next person, but how do we get into that state of just essentially talking to yourself? No one's listening and you're not really getting feedback. You think of the camera as your best friend. You think of the camera as your boyfriend. You think of the camera as the person who is super engaged and listening to you. You look directly in the camera, not at yourself. You look in the camera and you are speaking to your best friend. You're speaking to someone who is hanging on your every word, who is okay if you make a mistake, take a beat, try again, and who is laughing with you, who is encouraging you, who is excited for you. That's gonna make you excited. If you think of the camera lens as your best friend who is so into what you're saying, you are going to be so into what you're saying, and it's going to translate on camera. There. Acting tip 101. Your camera is your boyfriend who is obsessed with you, or your camera is your best friend who loves everything you're saying and can't get enough, and that's the tea, right? That's how you become you, but better on camera. We're not, making up a new personality. We're not trying to be someone else. We're being ourselves, but better. Number 8. Have a sustainable time strategy. So what are your non-negotiables within your time budget? What is a time budget? Think about an actual financial budget, but for your time. So for example, I dedicate 4 days out of the week to content creation. The other 3 days out of the week, I'm clocked out. I don't want to hear about content creation when it comes to me. I can enjoy other content creators, see what they're doing, but I'm not actually putting out content. I'm making notes, I'm writing notes down on my phone, I'm writing notes down in my planner, but I'm not actually making content. Those 3 days I have off are my time savings. Those days are for me, those days are for my friends, those days are for church, those days are for Bible study, those days are for sleeping in, those days are for binge watching YouTube channels or Netflix or Max or Hulu, right? Those days are for watching Love Island. This is what you have to keep in mind when thinking about your time budget. What is within your time budget? Is it time with your friends, time with your partner, time with your kids? Your time budget is going to be at your discretion. If you want to dedicate 3 to 7 hours in the days that you've chosen to content creation and the rest of the time goes to your family or your social life or work or whatever it is, then fine. If your time budget for content creation can only work on the weekends because you have a 9 to 5, so maybe you really only have Saturday and Sunday to dedicate to content creation, and maybe on that Saturday and Sunday you're sleeping in, it's fine, because that is your time budget. So really think about realistic, manageable, and a sustainable time strategy for you. What is your time budget? You don't want to get burnt out doing something that you want to do, doing something that brings you joy, that you love doing. And the reality is we're gonna get burnt out because it's work. Content creation is still a full-time job, even if it's part-time, because you have to think about things. You have to refer back to your planner, you have to refer back to your journal, you have to refer back to the days of the week and what you've planned to have going on for certain days of the week. Allot time for that, clock in, and then clock out when you've said the day is over. And when you clock out, because it's your days off or your day off, you clock out, all right? That's how you create a time budget and have a sustainable time strategy. Number 9. Don't worry about a niche. Focus instead on your theme, your interests, and your expertise, okay? There's going to be at least one person, like I said previously, who is interested in the things that you're also interested in. Chances are that one person has friends who are into the same things that they are into. That one person that watched your stuff can send to their friends, and then so on and so forth. And if there's one person, then maybe there's 2 people with their own group of friends who are also in the same things that you're into, right? You want to start thinking like that. You're talking to your best friend, the lens. You're talking to your boyfriend, the lens. The more you engage with your best friend, the lens, the more you engage with your boyfriend, the lens, the more you're going to draw people in to what you have to say, what you have to offer, what you really know about, what you're really passionate about, because chances are they're interested in it too, right? And they have friends who are also interested in those things. And if they don't have any friends, or if they have friends who are not at all interested in those things, then at least you've connected with one person. And if you've connected with one person, maybe you've connected with 2 people. And maybe over time, that audience will grow because you've been consistent, because you have a manageable time schedule that is realistic for you, for whether you're a type A person, whether you're a more laid back person, and they're gonna see it because you have dedicated days that you have written down with what you're going to do for each day that is in your workflow, that is a natural workflow for you, but better, because we're being us, but better. We're being ourselves, our authentic and transparent selves, but better. And the last point, point number 10, and this is one that actually takes some getting used to. Get into the habit of writing down all your ideas, whether you're writing them down with pen and paper or you're writing them down on a dedicated folder in the Notes app on your phone. Write down your ideas for topics, for your workflow, for content, for photos, For photo ideas, for photo concepts, for video concepts, write it all down. Do not judge it. Do not judge your ideas. You will never get anything done. If it came to you, chances are there's something there. Look at it later. You don't have to figure out the ins and outs of what you've written down. Get into the habit of having a dedicated space to write down your ideas for your content strategy, for your content. That is part of content strategy, is getting into workflow. Part of that workflow is being creative. We can't overlook the creative part of content creation. You have to receive the ideas coming to you. You have to receive the inspiration that is coming to you. And the way it comes to you more is when you get into the habit of writing them down, of receiving that gift, of receiving that insight, of receiving whatever it is and writing it down. If you're watching your favorite content creators and they are giving you tips and you like what they're saying, you think it could work for you, or you think you can expand on it for something that would work even better for you, write it down, okay? Write it down in your dedicated planner or journal, write it down in your phone, take a screenshot if there's going to be prompts on the video itself. That's what I do. All the different ideas that other content creators are giving to you for free on YouTube, write it down. You know, let it be a part of your ethos. Let it be part of your workflow. Let it be a part of your well-oiled machine. You can expand on it. You can write it down word for word. Whatever works for you and your workflow state, do it. Do not overwhelm yourself with information. The whole point of You But Better is that you're not trying to go too far outside of yourself. That's lipstick. Lipstick is creating a whole different look. However, You But Better lip balm is already your lips, it's just giving a little bit more, right? It's just giving a little bit more oomph, right? So that's what we want to do with your workflow state. We just want to elevate it a bit more, want to enhance it a bit more so that it's noticeable, so that we're just like, oh, that's nice, that's different, right? It's not like, oh, that's a new look. It's just like, oh, nice, right? So that's how we want to think about ourselves on camera, ourselves with our workflow, and ourselves with our content strategy for content creation. We can't overlook the creation part. Write things down, write ideas down, do not judge it, look at it back later and incorporate it into your strategy. And we also don't want to overlook a time budget. We want to make sure that the things that we're doing is manageable and is realistic for the lives that we're already living. Our entire lives, unless this is a full-time job, and even if it is, cannot revolve around content creation. We will burn out so fast, we will resent what we're doing and it won't be fun. Of course, there are always exceptions to this rule. There are people who live, die, and breathe for content creation, and that's great. But if that's not you, if you need a break, if you need some boundaries between your actual 9-to-5 or your stay-at-home or your small business, and you need a boundary with that and content creation, and you need a boundary with content creation and your personal life, which is just your friends, going out, binge watching TV or Netflix or YouTube and napping, be real about that, right? Not everyone has the luxury of living, dying, and breathing content creation, and that's fine. So that's why we're doing us, but better. That all being said, I hope this video helped. Take anything you need from me, literally just copy what I'm doing. I had a successful small business for 5 years of doing cognitive behavioral therapy and Christian counseling. I made $24,000 my first year. The reason I was able to achieve that is because I had a workflow system that worked for me. I had a method. I had a dedicated space to write down my workflow and refer back to it. If I wasn't in the mood, guess what? I already thought about days where I wasn't going to be in the mood, and I made a note to myself, it's okay to take a break. I would take a break and I would go back to and refer back to my schedule that I set out for myself. And sticking to that schedule is what made clients happy, because they knew I was always going to show up, I was always going to be on it. And if I couldn't, because I was either burnt out or I got sick or whatever the case, I would let them know ahead of time, because that is professional. It is courteous. And that's what you want to do for your growing audience as well, is be professional and be courteous. This is either a career or a hobby, but if you're serious about it, you want to make sure that you're giving people the courtesy, that you're giving your growing audience the courtesy of showing up, and if you're not going to show up, to be transparent and authentic about it. We're being ourselves, but a little bit better, right? We're showing up as our true selves, and we're being real about who our true selves are. We don't need a second of your favorite influencer. We don't need a second of your favorite YouTuber. We don't need a second of your favorite podcaster. We need you. people want to see something that they haven't seen before. So to show up as you, to just show up a little bit better. Okay, my friends, I hope that helped. I hope you found any of this useful. Again, steal from me, take whatever you want, it's all yours, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.